Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a powerful Senate hearing that exposes shocking allegations against Meta and Mark Zuckerberg. Testimonies revealed disturbing truths about children's safety in virtual reality, Meta's hidden practices, and the fight for accountability. Stay tuned as we break down the most important moments you need to know. Senators were told that the majority of VR users are actually under 13 years old. Meta leadership has been aware of this for years, with even their own employees posting videos of children using VR. Despite this, Mark Zuckerberg testified to Congress in 2024, claiming Meta doesn't allow under 13 users on its platforms. Witnesses say that's far from the truth.
Where Senator Klobuchar just left off. You said that in your experience, a majority of VR users are under the age of 13?
That's correct.
And that this is apparent to Meta leadership, you said?
Yes, it's apparent to anyone who uses the product.
Who in particular in Meta leadership?
I'm curious if you remember any particular posts, but I know it's apparent to at least C-suite.
Correct. There were legal directors, for instance, who would consistently monitor employees who would post underage videos of their own children using VR. So this was directly visible to leadership who were posting these videos and having it removed internally.
Mark Zuckerberg is aware of this, yes or no?
He would have to be. Oh, sorry.
That's a yes, Dr. Zadison. Ms. Savage?
The only way that he would not be aware is if he had never used his own headset.
Well, that's extraordinary. And it's particularly extraordinary because let's take a look at actually Mark Zuckerberg's testimony. Mark Zuckerberg has testified before this committee as recently as just last year, January 31st, 2024. Let's put it up so we can see it. He says, this is Zuckerberg testifying, we don't allow people under the age of 13 on our service. So if anyone who's under the age of 13, if we find them, we remove them from our service. And then in response to another question, he says, we don't want users under the age of 13. We don't want users under the age of 13. Ms. Savage, is this true?
It's an interesting quote. I mean, it would require the user to be honest about their age, in which case Meta would kick them off. But from research, even before Meta acquired the Oculus technology, we know that children are usually not using an account that accurately reflects their age for several reasons. The want part is interesting to me. I don't think their behavior matches that sentiment.
Dr. Zadison, is it true that Meta does not want users under the age of 13 on the platform in any of their services?
I'd like to go back to the point that you made in response to this, is that if they did, their value, their engagement, their profits would go through the floor. In this quote, if is doing a lot of work because they have taken no substantive efforts to make sure that they're understanding that there are kids under 13. It's a lie by avoidance, and Meta knows it.
It's a lie by avoidance. So in other words, Mark Zuckerberg, when he tested, this is last year, I want to emphasize. This wasn't 10 years ago. This is barely 10 months ago. This was just last year when Mark Zuckerberg says, we don't want people who are under age 13. They're not on our platform. And your testimony here today is, in fact, they're rampant on the platform, and Meta is specifically targeting them. Isn't that your testimony?
Yes, that's correct.
So Mark Zuckerberg has, once again, deliberately misled and lied to the American people. I mean, this is really, really extraordinary.
Why would Meta allow children to continue using VR? The answer is simple: profits. Experts testified that kids are the main reason families purchase headsets. Removing them would slash engagement, value, and revenue. According to testimony, Meta puts profit above child safety every single time. Another shocking revelation is that Meta erases evidence of sexual abuse and manipulates its own research. Studies that could reveal emotional or sexual harms are altered, scrubbed, or hidden. Instead, Meta points to large numbers of research reports to create the illusion of responsibility, while censoring the truth about the dangers users face.
Let me just make sure that I understand the full import of what you're testifying to. Dr. Zadison, if I could just come back to you. You have testified that Meta erases evidence of sexual abuse on its VR platform. Is that correct?
Correct.
That Meta changes research to not gather data on emotional and sexual harm once it became aware that it was rampant. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That Meta manipulates results of data to obscure any harm or other damage, shall we say, to users. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Why do the research at all?
That's a great question. You have to do research. Actually, going back to my earlier point, the siloing of research helps explain this. when you put the most sensitive research into sort of bucket where no one else sees it, all of the other research that's done is phenomenal. And other researchers at the company are great at their job. They help make the product look better, play better, and experience better, but they're not thinking about safety or integrity because they're told not to.
Well, why not? My question is, why do any research at all on harms? You've testified that you were doing research on harms. Other people did research on harms, but Meta and its various entities, legal, et cetera, the C-suite would intervene and say, not that, change this, scrub that. Why do any of it to begin with then?
It comes down to the fact that some research is necessary to create a paper trail in order to show that you are doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
For instance, privacy work, you have to show that you are abiding by some sort of general data privacy, whether you're in one country or another, and you have to have that on record. But there are some things that are too sensitive to be done, et cetera, et cetera.
Isn't it precisely so that you can come before bodies like this one and go before the public and go before your shareholders and say, we're doing research on harm. We're doing gobs of research on harm. What they don't tell you is they're altering the research on harm. The whole point of doing it is so you can lie about it and create the impression that, in fact, as Zuckerberg testified to this committee, we're tracking it closely, when in fact they're lying about it through their teeth. I mean, isn't that in fact what's going on?
If I may?
Please.
Yesterday, Andy Stone, spokesperson for Meta, actually used this exact same excuse, a tweet about 12 hours ago, where his response to the Washington Post article, which as we predicted a year ago, was, we have done over 180 studies, including topics such as youth, harm, etc. That response, again, is a lie by avoidance because it's pointing out some rote number that means nothing. The whole point of this testimony is that the research they're doing is being pruned and manipulated, yet now they're going before yourself, a government body, the public, and saying, but look, we did some research.
Why are children, why is having children under the age of 13, why is it so important to Meta? You both testified to this, your declarations testify to it. Why is it so important to Meta? Go ahead, Ms. Adams.
Children drive product adoption in the household, and VR is a gaming device.
So they drive product adoption, which means what for Meta? Just cash it out for us.
That means the reason that families buy VR headsets is their kids.
Which means more money for Meta.
Yes.
So this is about profits at the end of the day.
Yes.
Let's just be really clear. Meta's number one bottom line is money. It is profits, bar nothing. That's it. And what you're testifying to is they will do anything, including exposing our children to the most vile sexual abuse if it means more profits for Meta. Have I got that right?
Yes. If I may.
Please.
When I was doing research to identify the harms that children were facing in VR, which I had to be sneaky about because legal wouldn't actually let me do it, I identified that Roblox, the app in VR, was being used by coordinated pedophile rings. They set up strip clubs and they pay children to strip, and that Robux can be converted into real money. So, and I flagged this to Meta. I said, under no circumstances should we host the app Roblox on their headset. You can now download it in their app store.
One of the most disturbing findings involves Roblox on VR. Coordinated pedophile rings were discovered using the app to run virtual strip clubs, paying children with Robux that could be converted to real money. Even after researchers flagged this to Meta, the app remains available in the VR store. This shows just how deeply profits outweigh safety. Senators ended the hearing by demanding accountability. They argued that parents and victims must be able to sue Meta and hold Mark Zuckerberg directly responsible for the harms caused. Only then, they said, will there be real change? Before we move to the conclusion, if you're finding this breakdown important, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We bring you the stories that big tech doesn't want you to hear.
I'm going to turn this back over to the chairwoman because my time has expired. I just want to end by saying this. It is abundantly clear to me that it is time to allow parents and victims to sue this company. They have got to be able to get into court and to get in front of a jury and hold this company accountable. And that begins with Mark Zuckerberg. There has to be accountability. We need to open the courtroom doors and allow victims to have their day in court. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Senator Padilla, you're recognized.
This hearing revealed a harsh truth. Meta knows children are on its platform, knows they're at risk, and chooses to prioritize profits anyway. From hiding abuse to manipulating research, the evidence presented paints a damning picture. The call for accountability is growing louder, and this could be the moment that changes everything for Meta and Mark Zuckerberg.